What's up, everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Witcher 2, and at this point, it is kind of impressive how long the arena mode has held up, because at this point, I've been leaving the game running for, like, somewhere in the 36 to 48 hour range straight, and for a second there, at the beginning of this recording, I was thinking that it was not going to work. The whole screen was black, and I was like, uh-oh, this is the end. This is the end of the line. But, apparently, it's still gonna work, at least for now, but as always, we are one game crash away from this being the end of things, and I think there's a reasonable chance that even if the game doesn't crash here, this is likely to be our last arena mode video. Just based on us playing other games soon. So yeah, also there's the fact that this next round is apparently going to be 2 Elite Kingslayers, which, based on our previous experience, is going to be ridiculously challenging because they are functionally Witchers in and of themselves. So it's basically like us fighting ourselves, except we have 2 times as many opponents as we have people on our team. So that would suggest that this could very well be an opportunity for us to get one of those allies to tag along beside us, because otherwise I think we're going to struggle mightily to succeed here. Let's at least take a look at which of these swords or fire runes look like the best option for us to take if we are to succeed here. I already don't think that the fire rune is the answer because we can buy those from the shop, so that's not really a limited resource, whereas the weapons we cannot buy from the shop. This is the only place we can get them from these rewards. So let's take a look. Steel versus silver. What do we need more of? Well, we have a much better steel sword than we do silver sword at the moment, it would seem. So I think in that case, we'd probably be best served to take a silver sword upgrade from this. This is going to be really tough. So we'll give it a go without any potions, throwing weapons, allies, just to see how this feels, but I think we already know what the answer is likely to be. This is going to be the hardest round that we've had yet. My only hope would be that it's been a little while, at least since we fought Elite Kingslayers. Maybe we're strong enough that we can take care of them a little more easily now, but that's not really the issue with them. The issue is just that mechanically, they are far more difficult than any other enemy because they have all the skills that we would have and more, because we're not using the explosives or throwing weapons ourselves. So this probably ain't gonna end well. And we typically would be using Yurdins to trap them, deal some damage. As to whether or not that's going to work this time round, we shall see. Oh, we don't have any sign juice with which to drop a urine. Would have been very convenient on that occasion. Let's go back to Quen. Unfortunately, these guys walked straight into that, but apparently we did not get hit. I also pressed the sign button there, but apparently Geralt was not feeling like it that time around. You missed. Somebody want to walk on that? No! You made it so that I could not hit your friend. Might have gotten a hit in, I'm not entirely sure. Got knocked back just as it was happening. Now, if we could fill that meter, that would be insane. If we could just take them out like that. We're partway there. But it will take a series of hits before we can actually do that successfully. So I think for the time being, still talking about needing to use this strat. Come at me, bro. Oh, you just threw an art at me from the opposite angle, and somehow it still hit me. Alright, yep, that was a little ridiculous. Physics were a little bit off there, if I do say so myself. Are you gonna be down on your shield just in the nick of time? Yes. So again, if we could just take out one of them, then this would get exponentially easier. Be a 1v1 against an opponent that is basically capable of doing everything that we can do. But right now, as a 2v1, this is definitely not something that is working in our favor. Excuse me, just ignore the Jurgen while you're at it, why don't you? We still have our shield up, at least for the time being. Oh, well, that is not great timing on that, though. Alright, we did get one trapped, and it was well-timed. Kinda, sorta. We need to get some vigor back. It was well-timed in that his shield wore off, but we were not close enough to actually follow up with any attacks, unfortunately. In that sense, it didn't work so well. Oh, one other thought that I had. One moment here. Can we hit them with a little bit of their own medicine? I don't know. Oh, we also ran out of vigor there, so one moment while I hope that they step on that, but they also did just use their shields. Excuse me, sir. That did not go so well. I'm wondering if we might be able to, well, do a little bit of a, oh, I almost walked straight into that. We might be able to do a little bit of a recreation of what we did back in Bergen in the campaign, if anyone remembers what happened there.
I swear that witch will be bloody sick!
Okay, now let's drop the urn. Oh, that was not the one that I expected to hit there, but I guess I'll take it. There you go, they're over there. Throwing fireballs at us, throwing explosives at us. Have the shield on now. I don't have a great sense as to how we have or have not been splitting damage. It looks like we have been splitting damage pretty equally between the two of them, unfortunately. We do still have our shield up. As, well, not anymore. Not anymore, we don't. And again, the meter is very slowly filling whenever we manage to deal a bit of damage to them, but I think that's going to still have to be a bit of a game of patience. Ooh, that was not the one that I expected to step on that trap. Threw me off a little bit, obviously knocking me back. Also was inconvenient timing there. Okay, they are right on top of us, and I was actually about to walk straight into one of them. They almost cornered me there. Okay, again, is there a specific one that we ought to be trying to get here? Oh, that is just inopportune timing again. Let's not force the issue. Let's remain patient. Wait until we get full vigor again, then we'll put the Quen back on. Whoa, you are closer than I realized. And that blew up in our face, which I also did not see coming. It did seem to throw an explosive at us, but I didn't think it was headed in our direction. It's not exactly. Yeah, when we're that close, it's also a little bit of a risk. Somehow this is still up. Oh, that was very good. Got in way more damage than I would have expected there. Meter also continuing to rise. Didn't see that coming. The other one is behind us. He is the one that we would want to try to get, because he is the one that's low. And we didn't even need to use the Jurgen that time. Oh, I tried to dash. Didn't actually. Can we finish you off like this? Yes, we can. Somehow, we still have our shield on, even though we very clearly got hit with that Igni. Feel free to do something like that. And then, sure, remove my shield while you're at it. Somehow we're healing right now. Apparently we have some vitality regeneration. I did not realize that. You're actually dashing toward me. My bad. Oh, that is not what I meant to do. We were on Igni, so we were trying to finish off the previous guy with that. Not on Quinn. That's what I get for once not actually looking at which sign we had active. There you are. So you have pretty high HP at the moment. We haven't done much in the way of damage to you just yet. Oh, really, dude? Hey, you're gonna throw an explosive at us as well. So maybe let's like dash before we do anything. That was obviously inopportune timing. I did preemptively put on that Gwen before we got all of our vigor back. Really hoping, yep, that goes down at just the right time there. Oh, owie. Okay, now we move. And we make sure, yep, that Gwen is the one that we have selected this time around. We deal a fair bit of damage that time. So that was good. Still a ways to go, don't get me wrong, but I think if we can deal damage in chunks of that size, we'll be in pretty decent shape. Luckily, avoided that. Okay. I think that is roughly the number of attacks we can get in before he will come over there and try to hit us. Or we can counter, basically. Go, you're pretty close behind us. I'd like to create a little bit more space, then do this. Yeah, having the additional distance on our dash, pretty huge. Ooh, I like this too. I like that a lot. For whatever reason, we were able to get in way more attacks that time and finish them off. Okay, so we established, I think, that the Silver Sword is the way to go here. So let's take that. We didn't need any extra resistance. Whether that be through potions, through runes, through allies, we got it done. So, very happy about that. Okay, yes, so the low end of the damage is roughly equivalent of our current sword's high end of the damage. High end is only a little bit higher, so yeah, truth be told, it's not a huge upgrade, but it is a little bit better. I think we'll take it. Certainly take it. I don't know if, like, steel swords in general have more damage than silver swords. So it seems like they haven't always lined up exactly. You know, like, if we looked at how much damage we would have gotten from that round steel sword upgrade versus that round silver sword upgrade, I think we would have found that the steel sword upgrade would have had more... The steel sword would have had more damage on it. Ooh. Okay. So we're looking at Endrigas, including Endriga Queens, which are very big, and Irakas, which are also very big. So some spidery enemies. Okay, that's a steel sword. Bigger regeneration during combat is not bad. Irakas trophy is... it has the same art as the Endriga trophy that we are currently using, so at first I thought, like, oh, it's what we already have. We don't need that. But this is entirely different. One that we have, I think, is currently giving us 5 armor. So this gives us pretty sizable damage upgrade, yes. In addition to some vitality, some bonus damage to signs. It's a little bit of a mixture of offense and defense. I'm not entirely sure if I would prefer that to what we're currently using. Feel like I might lean toward this. But let's take a quick check. So I think our existing steel sword is pretty similar to this in terms of damage. It doesn't have that bigger regeneration during combat, I don't think. I think I'd likely lean towards the chest plate. Let's double check. That chest plate would have 18 armor. Our current one has 16. Does not have the vigor regeneration for sure. Our existing sword, steel sword that is is 30 to 40. I think the one that we saw there was 35 to 40, so low end at least. It is definitely better. Did the chestplate have any life on it, the reward chestplate? So losing 40 vitality is not insignificant. It doesn't have that, so we would gain 2 armor. I didn't look that closely at the resistances. I don't think those are that high on this one, quite frankly, other than maybe the magic. So I think we're mostly talking about gaining 2 armor and the vigor regeneration at the expense of some life, which is not necessarily a good thing. So I think that this is a bit of a harder decision than we might have anticipated it could be. This one, I think it might be the only option that is objectively an upgrade. It's not a huge upgrade, but it is objectively an upgrade across the board. Whereas all these other ones have, in this case, an armor downside, in this case, a life downside, which I'm not really sure we want to be sacrificing those things at this stage. But we also, before we jump in there, as we might have been about to do, let's make sure that we actually allocate our skill points. We do have another one. Could make it so that we generate adrenaline more quickly. That would be very helpful. Get some additional... Well, would it? I mean, 10% of nothing is still nothing. So, maybe it's not enough to be significant. Although all resistances, we were just talking about how we might not be upgrading the resistances even if we were to take that chest plate. And chance of causing all critical effects. We don't have a lot of critical effect chance at the moment. I think we mostly just have this 5% here. So picking up a little bit more might not be the worst thing in the world. We could go all the way back to getting an additional 10% damage reduction. That also wouldn't be terrible. Or get a whole bunch of vigor regeneration. Wow, that is a lot more than anything else we could do. Boost vigor regeneration, it would seem. Could we potentially opt to go over to the sign side of the tree? Don't think it would do too much for us in the short term, or in the immediate term, I should say. Don't really think a level 2 art is going to do too much for us. Sign damage is probably the direction we would go, although we don't use signs offensively very often, mostly just to finish off enemies, kind of like what we did with the Elite Kingslayer number 1 in that previous round there. Axii, at this stage, I think is never going to work, because the opponents that we have remaining are going to be strong enough that they are not going to be axiable. So I think it would mostly be an investment in the short term in order to get to Quen number 2, which would give us additional sign duration, which isn't even always what we're looking for, per se, because sometimes we're waiting for it to expire so that we can get our vigor regeneration happening again, because it doesn't regenerate when we have Axii, or when we have Quen on. But the damage deflection, there have been a few occasions where I thought that would be helpful, because although it's not a lot of deflection, there have certainly been rounds where it feels like we're just throwing on the shield, getting hit, throwing on the shield again, getting hit, and never actually getting the chance to swing our sword ourselves, so being able to get a little bit of damage out of that might be helpful, but I think that that is, if it takes 2 points just to get a little bit of damage, I don't think that's worth it, in all likelihood. So I think let's try this, the Whirlwind, and then I would think after that, hold on, what is this one? Ability to deal damage to many opponents. Oh, I forgot about this one. So we can hit multiple people simultaneously rather than only being able to hit one at a time. I actually think that's huge. But maybe not as much with this wave specifically, if I could get back to that note. Because it's not one of those crazy number of enemies waves. Maybe we deliberately save this one for one of those waves, like I'm thinking of the 50 Necker waves. No, it's more like 20 or 30 Neckers, but being able to hit multiple at a time would have been very, very helpful on that occasion. So I think we go with the Adrenaline and the Resistances. And then, yeah, if we upgrade this again, we get even more Resistances. We could check what our Resistances are right now. Incineration 44, Bleeding 44, Magic 10, Poisoning 33, so we're not that high, because those, of course, can go all the way up to 100%, and that is somewhat feasible, at least by endgame in the campaign, to be getting close to 100%. And That might be an indication. We need to prioritize that a little bit more. I'm not entirely sure, but I think most relevant this time around is going to be poison resistance, because there's a chance that all these guys can poison us. There are going to be some big ones, though. Going to be some big guys here. I'm hoping that with some additional damage relative to the last time when we fought these types of enemies, that we'll be in decent shape. Okay, ow, ow. We do have this. I'm pressing the up button and nothing is happening. This happened last time. All right, I'm trying. But nothing happened. So it doesn't work, seemingly. I pressed it repeatedly for the finishing move, and it would have gotten rid of potentially even all of them. But I don't know. Is it just like turned off in arena mode?
No easy task killing a Witcher.
Is it completely useless? Should we just be ignoring that meter altogether? I assure you, I was non-stop pressing that meter. It looked like I was standing still there. That's because I was standing still pressing just that button.
Can I interest you in something?
Let's give this another shot. And maybe not get distracted by the meter this time. I don't know. There's a chance it will still be full. There's a chance it won't be. It appears to no longer be full. Which is fine. Especially if it, doesn't do anything. But that's just good to know in advance. Probably. Okay. Snails and spiders. You guys can, just give us a second here. I would like to get rid of the warriors first. Ow. Because they are going to be the quickest. And the easiest to get rid of. And the lowest HP out of any of these guys by far, I would think. So that would be the easiest way to just make this a little more manageable. Fortunately, they are also the most visually distinct. They are not humongous. So they're a little bit easier to pick out from a crowd as well. You did hit us there. You did hit us. You guys are surprisingly fast. Even when we're non-stop dashing like this, you're still more or less right behind me. Hey, did dash. Did dash that time. I really want the Intriga Warrior. Right, proceeded to miss. There are 3 of the Intriga Warriors? I thought there were only 2. Might have just got rid of one of them. Not entirely sure. They are still directly behind us. I think there are still 2 remaining. I think there must have been 3 to begin with. I must have miscounted. For whatever reason, big guys are being faster than little guys. Okay, there's one down. Maybe I just hadn't killed one that I thought I killed. No, there are definitely still 2 remaining. Uh-oh. This is a terrible idea. Where I just, stood there. I was trying to see if we might be able to get around fighting the warriors rather than being surrounded by the bigger guys. Then ultimately decided, you know what, let's just settle. Let's get the big guys after all. They rock us. But I do see this coming, and I don't like it. If we are not careful, they will very easily surround us, it would seem. They are just kind of huge. So, this is the guy I want. I think we got rid of it. We dealt a lot of damage. So, I was thinking they were the fastest enemies, but I then kind of took that back. These guys are having no issue keeping up with us. No issue at all, it would seem. And they do block, as they did just then. Okay. better off doing the quick attacks. Poking you with those. Ow! Did have the sign up, so I mean, I say that instinctively, but we didn't actually take damage there. Just lost our shield. It's gonna be really hard not to split damage. There is still a warrior. Get rid of that one that time. No, he has 1 HP. Hey, we gained knowledge about Intrigas. I don't actually know what, if any, value that has in the arena. That means we deal more damage to Intrigas and other insect slash arachnids enemies, then I'm all for it. If not, then don't think there's much purpose picking that up. I really wish you didn't hit us there. This would be another one of those instances when seemingly picking up some damage reflection on our shield might have been kind of helpful. We have some room here. The Arachas is technically supposed to be easier to kill than the Intriga Queens, so those would normally be next on my list. We have kind of been trying to focus on taking down the Arachas for that reason. Whoa, what the heck was that? Bit of a charge there. Seemingly. Okay. The Arachas actually look different. One of them has a spiky shell and one of them has a smooth shell. Did not realize that at first. Intriga Queens have the spirally shells. You know, they're like the one of the Arachas. This one right here looks the most snail-like. And yes, you did hit us. These are the Intriga Queens. Gonna hit in mostly just because we can. Ooh. Okay, we miraculously did not take damage from that. And it's a bad place to stand, but we did deal a fair bit of damage. High risk, high reward. It paid off that time, but probably not the kind of exchange we can guarantee that we will emerge from unscathed in the future. I think miraculously our shield blocked all that, even though we did take multiple hits. It's a little bit generous sometimes. Yeah, the strong hits seem like they're getting blocked almost 100% of the time. Not quite 100% of the time, but often enough that I don't really think it's worth trying to charge up for the big ones. I think we basically just need to settle for the quick attacks and just go for the more consistent damage. I think that ought to be the strategy. I know that looked like a strong attack, but it wasn't. Uh-oh, uh-oh. I sense bad stuff happening. Did we take damage there? We might have. Not sure if the shield blocked everything that time. You're the one I want to get. You have the lowest HP, I think. The other Arachas is relatively low. Relatively. Queens, I do not really want to be focusing on you at the moment. You're the one I want. I almost ran straight into that. Oh, you did a very good job of nearly cutting me off there. Queens again, leading the way here. Oh, blocked even a quick attack that time. Uh-oh. Yeah, I got greedy. I did swing our sword even when we lost our shield. We did not get punished for it, at least not that time. Dare I say, our meter is starting to get a little bit full here, but I think based on what happened last time, we ought to continue to think of that as merely a distraction. Oh, I thought we, whoa, excuse me. think you did hit us there. We got stuck in a not so great place. I wanted to finish off the Arrakis, of course. Didn't quite manage to do so. You keep on blocking, even when I'm doing the quick attack. Oh, and the Queen Indriga apparently dealt a boatload of damage to us that time, just looking at the battle log. Thought we had a shield up. Just want to finish him off. There we go. Okay, one down. Of the bigger ones, that is. Of course, we did take out the warriors. Should make it easier now for us to avoid getting surrounded. But I would prefer to fight the Arrakis. One remaining Arrakis. Rather than the queens. This Arrakis is low. And Arrakis, we have 2 out of 3 knowledge now. Apparently they are a different category. Okay, so now it is all queen or nothing. The other one is lower than this one. Get out of there! When it's just them, it's definitely easier. Okay, Geralt, get out of there. Okay, also try not to dash into the lava. It's a lava. The fire. Did lose our shield that time. Okay, you are uncomfortably close at the moment. Got a little bit of distance between us now. Hoping that was a strong attack, which was a bad idea, as it has always been a bad idea. And that did hit us, because we did lose our shield on that initial hit. So, mistakes were made that time around. We still do deal a pretty sizable amount of damage, even when we use just the quick attacks. So I think it's important for us not to get greedy. But obviously, you know, I didn't really intend to do the strong attack last time. It just kind of happened. It just kind of happened that way. Could potentially opt to start using Yrden. Block even the quick attacks. Not supposed to do that. Kinda, sorta. Oh, you blocked that. Avoided your hit. One of them is very low now. Oh, I saw you try to do that. Somehow we still have our shield up. No longer, though. I do also see that we have the meter full. But, like I said, I think it's a distraction more than anything at this point. Okay, we do also miraculously still have our shield up. One of the queens is very low. And that was not enough to hit it. It did block. This is not the one that we would prefer to hit first. I want to get this one. There we go. Queen down. One remaining. Just you. I'd like to believe that means we could try a slightly different approach here. Maybe go a little more aggressive on the Yrden, since we had not been doing that before. Let's give it a shot. Except you. Oh, for a second I thought you were going to ignore it. There we go. Got a little closer than it ought to have been, but we did pull it off. I don't necessarily think that we established for certain which upgrade we wanted to take. The sword, like I was saying, is definitely pure upgrade, whereas both of the chest plate and the trophy come with some upsides and some downsides. I feel like maybe we take the sword for that reason, quite frankly. have leveled, of course. So let's take a quick look here. We could upgrade this further. Does give us more resistances and more chance of critical effects. I think that is the primary thing that we need to look at this for, because gaining additional adrenaline, or gaining it more quickly, I'm not so sure how much I trust that to help us. So I think that it might actually be best to go for the whirl, but let's see what the next wave is. Well, let's, just in case we decide to go straight into things, let's make sure we look at our sword. We're going to swap out, and okay, even that, quite frankly, is not a pure upgrade. Yes, it has better damage on the low end. Top end, it's the same. We do get additional vigor regeneration during combat, which is useful, but we do lose 20 vitality, which is not a ton, but is enough to be somewhat significant. So let's look. Bulvors. I don't think we've had any Bulvor fights yet. 3 of them. That is a lot. That is a lot. I also do really like that mutagen. Probably wouldn't take the Steel Sword after having just picked a Steel Sword upgrade, and this doesn't have any bonusy stuff, or at least not a lot of bonusy stuff beyond the bleed. It would make it something that we would be willing to swap out for. Like, doesn't have the vitality that our previous sword had, doesn't have the vigor regeneration that the current sword that we just picked up has. This chestplate does look really nice because it has both the vitality, additional resistances, I believe, and much higher armor than our current armor. So it doesn't have the same downsides, it's just across the board's an upgrade, I believe. But I do also like the permanent nature of having a +2 armor and vitality regeneration from the mutagen without having to worry about, well, you know, are we about to find a better armor that we're going to replace this with in the next round? So, leading mutagen, but I could be convinced to go chestplate. Okay. That being said, though,
Need
I
a
think
companion in the arena?
given how long those rounds took, I think this is probably a good place for us to wrap up this video. And like I was saying, there is a pretty good chance this is going to end up being the last of the arena mode videos, because I don't know how much longer I can run The Witcher 2 straight without it failing on me, or eventually, of course, I will be swapping over to another game fairly soon. But either way, hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll catch you in the next one.